Yeah, I have a similar situation where I got in a marriage that was abusive, and the church was telling me you have to stay, like, because you're supposed to submit to your husband, you're supposed to pray for him and keep allowing this. And like, he would ground my child for a week. He'd have to stay in his room for a week because he jumped on the bed once, and it was just ridiculous. And I was scared of him. And it was like, if I stood up to him, then I wasn't in my place. And when I told the church, listen, he's drinking all day, he's pushing me around, the pastor actually told me, well, you have to submit to your husband, you should just pray for him. And I was like, oh heck no, like, I don't think that that's the way this is supposed to be interpreted. Like, he's supposed to take care of us and provide for us. That's what husbands and men in the relationship are supposed to do, and this wasn't him and his role, so at that point I didn't have to surrender to that. So
it's almost like, okay, if you're hearing the word submission, red flag,
Right.
because it seems to be weaponized.
it is. It's terrible.
And that's why it's being demonized. But I feel like what you were explaining, Kitty, was not necessarily you submitting to your husband. You care about him and you respect him and his feelings and his opinions, and you wanted to do the right thing by your relationship and your partner.
Right.
That's healthy.
It was something doable that you could have like compromised on. Like, yeah, I can do the water thing, even though I don't like it. Like, I'm gonna do it, right? But to me, like, submitting, it's we're using it in a different context, right? Like, submitting is not that. That's compromising. That's caring about your spouse and like doing something for them, even though I don't agree 100%, right? Submitting to me, like you said, is weaponized. It's like something in that situation where like you submit, like you surrender, you do what you say you're told to do, and that's it.
Obey.
Right?
People translate it to mean obey.
Right, and I
unconditionally.
think this
wrong.
is a different context nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good segue, because one of my questions is submission about obedience, or is it a form of trust and respect and love? Or is it just about obedience? Because I could see the water, especially with your upbringing, you know, in church. You're like, it wasn't about compromising, it was about obedience. Like, I'm not going to do what I know that I was told to do. Like, so that there is that. And I mean, you don't even have to grow up in church to have that that feeling with your man. You know, it's like, oh, I don't really want to, babe. But you're having that internal conversation, right? And you're like, yeah, like, so stupid.
But you also have that conversation with other people you care about. I do, right? So I don't know that it's just like in any male-female relationship. I mean, I have that conversation with people I care about too. Like, I don't really want to do that, right?
So is submission a form of compromise? Is it a form of trust?
I believe it is. In my relationship, it is. I mean, I believe that it is a form of compromise.
In a healthy relationship.
In a healthy relationship, absolutely. And that's what we should probably, say. Like, in